For USCFootball.com, I'm Keely Eure here with Dan Weber. Instant analysis of USC's victory over the Stanford Cardinal, a complete victory overall.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they just lined up and knocked them off the line of scrimmage. So complete was it. The offensive linemen were saying, yeah, we were looking up at the scoreboard when it had USC 625 yards of offense. Yeah, Stephen Mitchell said, I didn't have time. I was just so busy doing what I was doing. I didn't realize that until I got in the locker room. But a lot of those USC kids were looking up there. I did, before they put him on TV, I just tugged on Sam and I said, you guys got 625 yards of offense tonight. He said, really? He said, that's pretty good. Yeah, Sam, that's pretty good.
Yep. If you look at it, it's almost exactly half rushing, half passing. I mean, that's what Helton wants, a balanced offense. I mean, if you look at it, it was pretty, the wide receivers and the running backs both stepped up today.
But when they started out, they basically just lined up and kept knocking Stanford off the ball. And when they finished up, they were lining up and knocking Stanford off the line of scrimmage. So they made the commitment. According to the kids, Clay told them Monday, we're going to run the ball and we're going to run it. And you know, when you're playing Stanford, that's a big deal. And he said, we're going to run it every other play. Although when they started out, they just ran it play after play after play. And that just never happens to Stanford. I mean, that just doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty special.
Mm-hmm. If you're looking at the beginning of this game, I think you could have said, oh, okay, this is going to be a shootout. Both defenses weren't doing their jobs, and then suddenly USC's defense made adjustments, and they pretty much shut down Stanford for the rest of the game.
Yeah, who would have guessed in the second half that it would end up that way? Stanford didn't even have to have the one score they got. So you would not have guessed that from the way the first half went. So, you know, give them credit. And as Clay said, you know, they got 330 yards, something like that, yards, but he said, take away that one play. They didn't have that many yards. And he said what we did was we kept them uncomfortable, where instead of having third and short, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3, they hit 3rd and long, and Stanford doesn't, that's not a good situation for Stanford. So, you know, give them credit on both sides of the ball. I think one way we were kidding about when everybody says you got to have special teams, USC had 0 yards return tonight. No kickoff return, no punt returns, and it didn't matter at all.
Mm-hmm. Both Cam Smith and Sam Darnold said that Stanford's had USC's number for a while. I mean, what does it do for this team to not only get this victory, but get it by a good margin?
Yeah, I don't know how many guys I talked to who said, I've never beaten Stanford. Sam hadn't beaten them, Cam hadn't beaten them, Biani hadn't beaten them, you know, so we've never beaten Stanford. So, I mean, they're just thrilled to death. I mean, this is a whole different world. And as some of them said, and Sam was very diplomatic, but they had never seen that look on Stanford's kids' faces at the end of the game, that's something different. But very often, unfortunately, that's been the look on the USC kids' faces, not the Stanford kids' faces, as to what just happened, you know? Well, that was not the USC kids at the end. What was so exciting on that last touchdown drive, they couldn't wait to get the ball. They couldn't wait to run it. They couldn't wait to block somebody. They were so excited. I mean, that was special.
But coming into this game, no one really expected USC to win. I mean, even on College Game Day, they didn't. But someone over here expected USC to win.
I know I think people were calling me a homer, but I did predict last week when I went through the schedule, I said double-digit win. I mean, book it. And it sure looks like that's what happened. And today, you know, I tried to write a game column saying the way you do it is you line up and you knock them off the line of scrimmage and you run it at them and you run it at them. And I said, I know people will say, well, that's Stanford's game. You beat them at their own game. You stole their game. And what I would like to say to people is, no, that's the game that USC, when it has a great team that wins national championships, that's how they play. That's not Stanford's game. That's USC's national championship game. And so, you know, it's been a long time, it seems like, so people maybe, you know, forget some of that. But I thought that was vintage USC national championship football. That's how those teams played.
Mm-hmm. As far as injuries go, USC came out a little banged up. Michael Brown, the kicker, was injured on the first kickoff of the game. He came back out. He was carted off, came back out with a knee brace, and was on crutches. Marlon Tuipulotu, he came out with a knee, was examined by trainers, put on a knee brace, played one snap, and then didn't play for the rest of the game. He had a limp coming off at the end of the game. And also, Daniel Imatorbhebhe didn't even dress out, and that was something we weren't expecting going into this game.
No, we weren't. And Chuma Edoga, not only did he have the extra brace on his right knee, where extra protection, but he also, I guess, he had a wrist injury during the game, which took him out, and he came back in. He fit, he's strong, and that was great. Michael Brown, I don't know if the good news is it was his left knee. It wasn't his right knee. I think he went down and tried to cover that kick, and they just took him out, which was kind of scary at the end, because here Chase McGrath is kicking off, and they're knocking him off the field. I mean, they're really going after him. I'm thinking he's the last kicker that USC has. But he came in, I thought, just kicked the heck out of the ball. Really a good job. It pays to have two kickers, I'll tell you. But Marlon went by, and I asked him. He didn't have any wrap on, no brace, no nothing. Limping a little bit, but he wouldn't. He said, we'll find out tomorrow. It looks like it could be a knee sprain. I'm guessing if they thought it was a torn ACL, they might not have just had him walk out of here with, no ice on it, nothing, so we'll see.
Mm-hmm. USC's 2-0 now, going to face Texas in the Coliseum. A lot of players are saying how much the crowd affected them. What do you think it's going to be like next week? And what is it going to be like for the players? I talked to Stephen Carr. He was 6 when the last time USC played Texas. So what does this mean for fans and for players?
Well, it's nice to know it is officially sold out. So we're talking, I think there were 81,000 tickets distributed, and it turns out 77,000 plus here in the Coliseum. So if you figure out another 11,000 more, and the players loved this crowd. This crowd was in the game. They were in every play. They stayed to the end, and one after another player said, we really feed off a crowd like this. So next week ought to be better. There's some payback, and it's interesting that the Texas game sold out, right away, actually, compared to Stanford. So, but a lot of people who saw this game are now going to be wishing they had gotten some Texas tickets, I'm guessing.
All right, that's going to wrap it up from the Coliseum. For Dan Weber, I'm Keely Eure. For more, check out uscfootball.com.